Thank you, everybody. I'm well aware of it. Between myself and Nandaves, we're standing between you and lunch, right? I'm quite hungry myself, so I'll try to speed this up. Just by a show of hands, how many of you are as intimidated by this world of big data and what it means to us going forward?
One.
Okay. It looks like everybody's got it under control. I don't know what you're doing here. Right. I want to talk today a little bit about open source in general, but more importantly about being open. My name is Jaen, and I am so privileged to be a part of a magnificent and amazing team at Red Hat, where we work every single minute of every single day with our customers to make a difference. I want to kind of break down this word open that people are using very loosely these days, especially at conferences. And I want to tell you that open is definitely more than a modifier. It's not something that you add into a presentation and all of a sudden you're open. It's a key driver of innovation, and it happens twofold, right? The number one thing is the source code of the open source world is free. It's available. It's there for you to look at, to use, to modify, and to enhance. As an individual contributor within your organization, you can be a part of that. And then on the other side, that side for you, we have a community. And this most probably is even more important than the open source code, is having a community where we can collaborate and innovate together. So when we have the union of those two powerful concepts, we can disrupt. And we have been disrupting for a long, long time. Mm-hmm. So we've done a lot together in the open source world with regards to big data. And there's a lot of buzzwords flying around. But we really need to think about not only the end goal here, but the journey in terms of how do we get to that end state, to really be ready for what will come down the line. Because if you think big data is big today, it's just going to become bigger. We saw a lot of zeros in one of these presentations. Crazy. So I'm here to tell you that big is the easy problem. It's the easy part of this problem. The big part is not the issue here. There's other things that are more important, and that is making sense and getting value from this data. Right. Analytical processes are moving away from single pass into a more iterative process. What do I mean by that? Normally you'd have a data set, you'd have an analytical engine going across your data set, and they would give you some insights into the data. I'm telling you that you have to look at that data now, you have to look at it a second later, you have to look at it a minute later, and tonight you have to look at it again. Because there's things that are, in terms of your data, changing over time. So we do have to do temporal reasoning over data.
Good guy.
In terms of data formats, they are moving from being consistent, things that we understand, like relational databases, into inconsistent, bless you. It's moving into inconsistent data formats. We do not know where our data will come from tomorrow. Gartner says we'll have 50 billion IoT devices in the next couple of years. That's a massive amount of data, but how will that data look? We don't know yet. Queries. It's very easy to build a query over your data and fire it. But do you really have that ability to do ad hoc queries, like on-the-fly queries? We are seeing a big movement towards that. And if this looks familiar to you, this is what I'm seeing when I go to customers all the time. We are seeing multiple silos of these individual contributors, multiple views over the data, and multiple goals. That is a very, very bad thing. We need to move towards an iterative process where everybody and all the stakeholders speak the same language, have a unified view over that, and where we all have one consolidated view as well as a goal over and above that data. We need to also think about the barriers to success in this big data journey, right? For architects, they need to think about how will they actually integrate data across these many silos. If you think about your own organization, where is your data? You know, it's everywhere. It's duplicated. There's data that's rubbish. There's data that you don't even know about. From an app developer point of view, they want to use the latest frameworks. They want to be the cool kids on the block. They want to use the latest stuff to code up their development, right? From a business user, they want much more today than just canned BI queries.
How long was she with us?
And obviously, from a data center operator, they are tired of being locked in. I'll tell you what, whether you call it lock-in, whether you call it native, I don't care. People are tired of being locked in. I will propose a new way of thinking about this. We might call it the Red Hat way, the open way, but definitely something to think about, right? Let's think about big data components or solutions that are like little Lego blocks. They're not turnkey solutions. You can assimilate them in each way that you want to build your solution, because guess what? We recognize that your solution might not look the same as the customer next to you. And no vendor can stand in front of you and think that they understand this space as a cohesive whole. No. So we want to have workload optimized modular building blocks that are completely open, interoperable with a complete partner ecosystem. By the way, there's only one way of doing that. Open standards, open protocols. No proprietary native protocols. It needs to be agile, right? If you think about the data integration and the application development, these things need to be easy to consume. For a developer, it needs to be very easy to code up stuff, deploy stuff, have it run through a CI/CD pipeline. He needs to have these environments available to him by a single-click environment, right? Right now. How do we do that? Infrastructure as a service and platform as a service, which gives you the options to deploy and develop these applications at will. By the way, across all the footprints out there, bare metal, hypervised workloads, private cloud in your own data center, and the multi-cloud out there, don't be locked in to cloud vendors. This is the next level of lock-in. Make sure that you have that abstraction layer for your workloads across those providers. It needs to be enterprise ready, right? It needs to scale, it needs to be high availability, there needs to be disaster recovery. These things goes without saying. It's easier to put them on a slideshow like I have done here than to realize that in the real life. Okay? Security, we've just listened to the previous speaker talk about security. This needs to be comprehensive, and it needs to be normalized in role-based access down to the field level of your data. It needs to be as granular as it can be. It needs to be cloud ready. By the way, cloud for me is not a place. It's not somewhere. Cloud is just a way of doing business. Your cloud can be within your own data center. But be careful. Make sure that your data integration architecture, your application integration architecture are decoupled from your infrastructure layer. Don't let anybody lock you into that. Think about this data and how big it's going to come. Right? Think about the cost implications of that. We need to have a seamless transition from this physical, virtual, towards the cloud.
Really
and maybe back.
Race.
Right? It needs to be cost effective. When does something become cost effective? When we collaborate together, when we innovate together, when we tackle the 80% use case together and we differentiate ourselves from each other with the other 20%. That is when things become cost effective. Then you also build up these skills and you can reuse them throughout your solution-driven design, right? Because now we are doing it together. Open matters. Choice matters. Agility matters. We first need to standardize. Again, open protocols, open standards. Standardize your data. Virtualize your data so that everybody can have access to their data, have visibility over their data. Only then will you be able to realize the value out of that data. I put it down there very specifically because everybody's talking about the hybrid cloud today. It's very easy to talk about the hybrid cloud. At Red Hat, we talk about the open hybrid cloud. And that is exactly what it means, to be open, to allow you to move workloads from bare metal to virtual to any of the cloud providers and back at will when it makes sense. No lock-in, right? Think about these hybrid architectures, hybrid deployment models across these footprints. Think about containerization of these workloads. It makes it so much easier. Think about open innovation, innovating together, going after this in collaboration fashion. And then think about these things being portable, scalable, on demand, and measurable. It's very important. We cannot react if we don't know what we're reacting on. This does not happen in isolation. This is not something that Red Hat came up with. We are partnering, we are collaborating with others in the industry. Hortonworks, IBM, multiple other vendors. We are tackling this together because we realize how important this is for the future. Nothing that we do at Red Hat comes solely from Red Hat. We are leveraging on our open source communities because we understand that the power of innovation lies in the cohesive working together of those communities. Don't try to understand this architecture. That's not the point of what I'm trying to show you guys here. What I'm trying to show you is that, yes, Red Hat does have a portfolio, a full portfolio of solutions, from the operating system stack to the hypervisor, to the infrastructure as a service stack, platform as a service, a full portfolio of JBoss middleware products, API management, and mobile. Some of these can be used in the ingestion of data, some can be used in the transformation of these data. Some of it can be used for in-memory materialization of your data, complex event processing, making temporal reasoning over your incoming data, storing that data, virtualizing that data. But most importantly, everything at Red Hat is done in collaboration through that innovation in the community. And everything at Red Hat is software defined. There's absolutely no lock-in. These things run on commodity hardware, stuff that you can buy for cheap and add to your stack very, very easily. We've got common architectures, for instance, with Hortonworks, in terms of go-to-market solution architectures that you can leverage off today. I would urge you to come afterwards and talk to me, talk to our partners of Obsidian. They've been a Red Hat partner for almost 19 years. Guys, they were carrying the torch for Red Hat long before Red Hat was in this country. Please, they're right outside. Come and talk to us. And then our friends at Hortonworks, that we are working very closely together to help you in this new journey. And then, of course, our friends at IBM, where all of our solutions are certified to run on IBM hardware. Please, come, and if you want a red fedora, if you want me to tell you about the Open Organization, which is a book that we have released, if you want to read more about what does it mean to be open, come and have a chat to me. If you want to use our open decision framework to make decisions within your organization, whether you're a data scientist, a developer, a manager, or the vice president of your organization, please come and have a chat to me. And guys, just before I go, when somebody tells you that they're open, ask them to prove it. Somebody tells you that they're the biggest contributor to open source, prove it. We are Red Hat. We've been open all along. Thank you.